Stillwater's Morning Scramble. Great to see associate head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowgirls, Bill Annan. I almost called you assistant, but you're associate.
Call me anything you want, Steve. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
You bet.
So, how you been?
I've been doing really well. Yeah, enjoying.
Nice to be back on campus.
It is. Weeks back, and it was, what did we have? The Today Show was on campus the other day, and they had asked, not them, but the people running it, our people said, hey, can we get them around on some golf carts? Can we use a golf cart to get them around? Well, sure. We aren't using ours, so they use men's basketball and ours to get them around. So I think that was Tuesday, maybe Wednesday.
So anybody that you knew?
I didn't see him at all. We just kind of left him at Gallagher. They picked him up, did the drive around, left him back.
So you're not the one that went in and said, where in the world is Matt Lauer? And they said, he's been gone for a while now.
Did not ask that, no.
He got thrown off the island.
I didn't ask it, but I was checking. I think that was Tuesday. So Wednesday I was putting the golf carts back underneath Boone Pickens where we put them or store them back there. And as I'm driving through campus, 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever, it was just people everywhere. Yeah. And it was just kind of like, very good.
Yeah.
I know traffic's picked up, which is always a sign. But
are they all adhering to all the regulations?
To be honest with you,
yeah.
I was one that felt bad because I was in a golf cart without a mask because I really wasn't going to stop to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I was just tooling along. But sure enough, as you're driving, here's this young lady that kind of waved her arms back and forth like, please stop. And I'm like, oh, what could this be? Maybe she wants a ride and I can't really do that. So she goes, hey, can you tell me where Ag Hall is? And Steve, I don't know why, but I like that. I like help, it's just, but where'd you park? Well, I parked back here. I said, well, there's a lot closer parking spots to Ag Hall than where you're parking, but, just walk through here. And she was so nice. She went to Edmond Memorial High School, and she was a freshman, and she just can't believe, you could tell how anxious and the anxiety was an all-time high.
Yeah, and I've had professors on before that one of the things that they talk about is, and sometimes we forget what it was like to be a student, but especially if you're a wide-eyed student, a freshman. And I was from a town. I went to a university that did have 20-some thousand there. Missouri State did.
Sure.
And I went to from a town of 5,000, right? And so to me, that was a big place.
Oh yeah.
And you're pretty much, even though I'd been going to that place all my life because because my dad went there and we went to ball games and stuff, you're still in awe.
Sure.
And you do have to walk up and go, where's Craig Hall?
Yep.
And then the people who are from there go, the kid doesn't know where Craig Hall is. And there's a tendency to forget, how can you until you've been here?
Sure. And I always chuckle about that because, you're always going to be a freshman again.
Yeah.
And I remember teaching back in Topeka and the seniors and the juniors were always, hey, we know everything. I said, now listen, you're going to be a freshman again. Well, what does that mean? Maybe it's college. Maybe it's Votech. Maybe it's a job. You'll be the new person that you'll be asking questions. So again,
that's great advice.
Please be nice to them and help them along because we all have anxieties when you're moving into a new position, a new city, a new campus. Just kind of help each other out because we're all going to be freshmen sometime again. It just depends on what it is.
Almost our whole lives.
Correct.
I find that even when they make the next step, because you'll see them as an all-state basketball player.
Sure.
And they own it.
Yeah.
And then at the next step, you're realizing, okay, they don't own anything.
No.
And then if they're lucky enough to go to the next step after that, it's the same drill.
Thing. Yeah.
It's like you're not in college anymore. It's
sure.
Like I'm from the Big 12.
And Steve, hearing you say that, so we have 3 newcomers, right? So we started practice per se, tested on August the 3rd. That was the Monday. That Friday would have been, the 6th or the 7th. We had our first practice, 3 different groups. So we have 2 newcomer groups, about 5 or 6 in the group, each one of those. And then we have the newcomers in a separate group. So they live separately, and then we work them out separately. And that first day, they were so nervous because it's the first time you're in front of the head coach.
Sure.
You've talked to Coach Littell, and you've talked to Coach Davis and Coach Freeman and myself, and you've played a game, whether it's AAU or high school in front. But now it's like you in a gym, and everybody's just staring at you play. And so they were really nervous, as every newcomer is for the first couple practices.
Let me ask you what they think, because having never played at the college level, which I didn't, I played at the high school level, but never did play at that next level. And so the people who are recruited, which at this level they are recruited by a number of people.
Yeah.
Do they come in with an undue swagger sometimes, or do they come in and say, everybody's made such a fuss over me, I better not let them down?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I've seen the latter more than the former, meaning
I don't want to let them down.
I'm going to let them down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to really go really hard, and I'm just going to just bust my tail to impress them because that's who I am. So honestly, that's what's been nice about our group. Dalen Collins, Ruthie Udemo, and Brittany Reeves, who's a junior college transfer, so she has a little bit more swag about her,
right.
Just because I've already been to JUCO for 2 years, and I'm rolled in as a junior. The two freshmen, you can tell they're just giddy. It's like I've got new stuff on, and all this is just new. And Brittany has a little bit more of, hey, I've kind of been through this, but she's still, you can tell she's thrilled to be here. She plays extremely hard, but I just kind of chuckle just because it's like they come in so excited that you want to just bottle that.
Yeah.
Because as we know, you have your ups and down days. Maybe you didn't score quite well on a lab you're working on, or maybe a paper you turned in, you got it back and it wasn't the score you wanted, or you just didn't produce in the game like you thought you should. So to me, life's about ups and downs, but even for a student athlete, there's a lot of ups and downs. So you want to ball that up and just tell them, hey, basketball, this is where you should have fun. Academics is hard. It should be. You're preparing for your future. That's your job. I mean, that's your occupation. But the basketball part should be fun yet challenging, right? So that's been for us kind of a fun, just to sit back and watch, a little bit. The returners are also doing fine. We've been in practice, like I said, since the 7th. So here we are, the 20th, 21st. So it's been almost 2 full weeks. Now, it's not full practice, though, Steve. So
yeah.
we're when you combine this, we're about 3 hours a week. And then Nick Hoheisel has them running and lifting with him for 5 hours. So there's your 8. So we break ours up with like 4 45-minute workouts spread out throughout the week, which is probably long enough because their cardio's not great. They've been out of commission for what, 4?
This is different.
4.5 months.
Can you actually see the big difference?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. And then plus you're wearing masks, and that's different too. Because we're having them wear a mask during the workouts. Now we're not doing a whole lot of up and down. A lot of ours is maybe on a half court setting, but still you've got kids cutting, jumping, moving constantly for 45 minutes. So. But they're getting used to that. They really are. But yeah, it's been exciting. It's been a fun start to the year, like it usually always is. Whether you're in a classroom or whether you're on the floor, and here they come in and you're ready to start.
We're in the same demographic, you and I, and I'm guessing that you. And this is a good thing because living in a college town and doing what you do, especially, keeps you young. I don't have any. I'm guessing you know more of what they're watching on TV and what they're listening to music-wise than I would, for example. So that does keep you young, doesn't it?
It does, and I think you have to kind of be a little bit curious, and just kind of talk to them and ask them about it. I was telling Marcia this just the other day. So we have a bunch of friends that are moving their kids into college for the first time. So these might have been players that I've had in the past. Maybe my players back in Topeka, they're old enough now that their kids are grown out of high school, and they're moving into their first college dorm. And so you're seeing the pictures and the comments, which is kind of fun. But I told her, I said, now, look, this just cracks me up. So I remember when I first moved into mine, I didn't have a TV in my dorm. When there was a TV in the basement that you could watch, but there wasn't a TV in your, you just didn't do that. Wow. A lot of these kids have a gaming station along with a lot of other things that's just how it is now.
That already,
they bring it with them from home. It's all set up. And they're good to go. That's all I need. I got my television, I got my gaming station, and I've got my bed. What else do you need?
I saw, I think it was Notre Dame, because I think the students were having to leave because, they changed things there in a big hurry.
Yeah.
But there's this kid walking in, and he has under his arm is 32-inch TV. Nothing else.
That's all I need.
And he wasn't walking in. He was now walking out.
I'm taking that with me.
But he's had the box, with the 32 inch. So those are cheap enough now. You can get those for $199 or something.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but it's like a toothbrush and toothpaste to them, and they got my 32-inch TV.
Now that's funny because with Trent and Grant, my two sons, they've been Tulsa, and so TV that I have, I passed it down. Okay, I am that guy that likes bigger the better. So we've got a pretty nice TV above our fireplace, this big. But I'm always telling Marcia all the time, man, it's just not big enough. If you look, if we could just expand that 4 or 5 inches on both sides, it would cover the entire, chimney, and it would look a lot better. And she's like, there is no way we're getting any bigger television. Yeah. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. So sure enough.
You don't need to stay for Rob at Audio Midwest because he'll sell you one.
I like it.
Because they got some good deals going on.
So Trent's getting married in November. And so him and his fiance, they're going to need television. And so with him and Grant living together, they've got my old one. So I put out a text, included Marcia on it, said, hey, hold on. I got a great deal here. Why don't we do this? I don't care how you and your brother work this out, but you guys can take my television. You already have the one that's in Grant's home. You guys can decide which one, then that'll allow me to get another one.
Right.
And that way we're all good. Man, it did not take long to get a response back on the text message from my wife, who was just sitting in the couch beside me. We are not getting a television. But then, like Trent said, Dad, honestly, and Steve, you're right. He goes, they're not as expensive, even close to what they used to be.
Well, I can remember I was living in Stillwater, but when they first became this was the flat screens before HD.
Yeah.
But I think it was 35, and that thing weighed 7 tons.
Yes.
Trust me, it was a monster.
Yeah.
But it was 35 inches, and I think I probably paid, I'm not sure, but I think probably between $1,100 and $1,500.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah.
For that price now, I can easily get a 65-inch and darn near a 75-inch TV.
For that.
That's perfect picture.
Absolutely.
But in its day, this 35-inch, 7-ton TV was state of the art.
Sure.
But it cost well over $1,000 in 1990s dollars, right?
That's kind of like comparing Frank Cannon had the old Lincoln Continental with the 2-door.
Right.
Remember that back then? All metal. I mean, the whole thing probably weighed tons. And now you're like, man, why don't they make those anymore? People are going, why would you make something like that again? But I remember hearing you say that. It's just how much things have changed, right? A good friend of mine, which I had no idea, posted a picture. That was the car he had in high school, was the car just like the show Frank Cannon. So I called him up and said, dude, you were driving that to high school? He goes, yeah. And I go, did it take up 2 parking spots? Did it stick clear out, into the thing? He goes, man, I was the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you had that drive.
So that was a cool one.
That was a cool one, yeah.
Just the opposite. And I bet in my family, I don't think I ever borrowed this car, but when my granddad died, my folks got his car, which was like an old Chevy.
Yep.
That he took care of. But it was a big old Chevy. I think it was like a '66 Chevy, so it was old then. And it would go about 175,000 or 75 miles an hour. It would, they were huge.
Sure.
Big old, but no power steering, no power brakes, and they embarrassed every child around. But every one of us at one time, I don't think I borrowed it. I drove it before. But everybody would, when theirs broke down, can I borrow Granddad's car?
Yep. Yeah.
But I can remember a brother-in-law driving that to school and just humiliating his daughter, who, who's driving this '66 Chevy, whatever they were. I don't even think they had names then. They weren't even Impalas or whatever. It was just the Chevy.
The Chevy, yeah, I got it.
But most families have one of those.
Absolutely. So I'm at Cowboy Corner yesterday buying some stuff, and a guy was ahead of me. And so the young man working the register said, what pump are you on? He goes, 3. And so you could tell this wasn't adding up because I'm looking at pump 3, but there's no, and so the guy goes, it's pump 3, right? And he looked out and I said, man, are you driving that black Jeep or I was trying to help the kid out. Are you driving that nice black Jeep or that really nice white car? And he goes, oh, I got the white one. So the kid was like, oh, that's pump 4. So he's working out. But
well done.
I'm kind of looking. I was like, now wait a minute. That says 1972 on the front tag. And he kind of turns and looks at me like, and I go, is that yours? And the guy goes, well, honestly, I thought he said either his dad or granddad bought it brand new, and that it's been passed down through the family.
That's neat. That's great.
And I thought, I was trying to look, I thought it was a Porsche.
Wow.
But I'm telling you what. So I told him, I said, a little pressure? Because you're passing that down.
Yeah.
He goes, well, a little bit, but I'm more humble to be able to have it.
Yeah. That's neat. How
old
was this guy?
I've had it for 34 years, he said.
Oh, okay.
I said, you really? He goes, yeah. And so it's my job to take care of it. And then when it's time to pass it on, that stays in the family. I thought, wow, what a cool situation that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really nice. And it was well taken care of.
Yeah. If you have a car like that, you don't have to know what pump you're on.
That is correct.
Hey, we'll take a time out. We'll dive into some more stuff here.